It was 7:43 p.m. on a Saturday in October when my daughter-in-law Jennifer looked me straight in the eyes in front of 150 wedding guests and screamed the words that would change everything between us. "You're ruining my photos. Get out of my wedding, now." The ballroom at the Riverside Manor went completely silent. The string quartet stopped mid-note. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. My champagne gold dress, the one I'd spent 3 weeks searching for, the one that made me feel beautiful for the first time in months, suddenly felt like it was on fire. Every eye in that room turned toward me. The elderly woman in the wrong color, the mother-in-law who couldn't follow simple instructions. I stood there, my legs trembling, holding an envelope in my hands. Inside that envelope was $5,000 in crisp $100 bills. $5,000 that I'd saved over 8 months by skipping dinners out, buying generic groceries, and canceling my cable subscription. Money I'd set aside from my fixed Social Security income of $1,147 a month. Money they were counting on for their honeymoon to Cancun and their first month's rent on that fancy 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn with the exposed brick walls. Jennifer's face was red, her perfectly curled blonde hair bouncing as she pointed toward the exit. My son David, my only child, the boy I raised alone after his father died, stood 3 feet behind her in his charcoal gray tuxedo. He wouldn't look at me. His blue eyes, the same eyes his father had, were fixed on the marble floor. "Did you hear me?" Jennifer hissed. "Leave." I could smell her perfume, that expensive Chanel No. 5 she always wore, mixed with the scent of the white roses in her bouquet. Behind me, someone coughed. A woman whispered something I couldn't make out. A champagne glass clinked against a table. I looked down at the envelope in my hands. Then I looked at my son. Still, he said nothing. So I smiled. I actually smiled. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I felt my spine straighten, my shoulders pull back. "You're absolutely right, Jennifer," I said, my voice steady despite the tears threatening to spill. "I should leave." I turned and walked toward the exit, the envelope still in my hand. My heels clicked against the floor, each step echoing in that silent ballroom. I didn't run. I didn't cry. Not yet. But what Jennifer and David didn't know was that in 3 days, they would be the ones crying. Because that envelope wasn't just money. It was leverage, and I was about to use it. Before I continue with my story, I need to ask you something. Have you ever been humiliated by someone you loved? Someone you sacrificed everything for? If you have, leave a comment below. Tell me I'm not alone. And please, hit that like button right now, because sharing stories like mine gives other people the courage to speak up too. Now, let me take you back to where this all started, because you need to understand how I got to that moment, standing in a champagne gold dress at my son's wedding, being thrown out like yesterday's trash. My name is Helen. I'm 69 years old, and I live in Queens, New York. I've lived in the same rent-stabilized apartment on 47th Avenue for 34 years. It's a small 2-bedroom with creaky floors and a radiator that sounds like a freight train in winter, but it's home. The living room walls are covered with photos of David, from his first day of kindergarten at PS 150 to his college graduation from CUNY in 2011. David's father, Richard, died when David was only 7 years old. Heart attack. He was 39. It was a Tuesday morning in March, 6:15 a.m. Richard was putting on his tie, getting ready for work at the post office. I was in the kitchen making coffee. I heard a thud. By the time I ran to the bedroom, he was gone. I had $847 in our checking account. No life insurance. Richard had kept saying he'd get it next month, next month, next month. Well, next month never came. So it was just me and David. I worked as a receptionist at a dental office on Steinway Street, making $28,000 a year. After rent, utilities, and groceries, there wasn't much left. But David never went without. Not really. I made sure of that. When he wanted to join Little League when he was 8, I picked up weekend shifts cleaning houses. $20 an hour under the table. My knees ached for days after scrubbing floors, but I paid the $375 registration fee and bought him a glove. A real leather one, not the cheap plastic kind. When he needed braces at 13, $4,200 total, I paid it off over 2 years. $75 a month, every month, even when it meant I couldn't fix my car's broken air conditioning for 3 summers. When he wanted to go to summer camp in the Catskills when he was 15, $1,950 for 2 weeks, I said yes. I ate peanut butter sandwiches for lunch every single day for 4 months to afford it. But I'll never forget the smile on his face when he came home, sunburned and happy, telling me about learning to kayak. David was a good kid, respectful, smart. He made honor roll every semester at Newtown High School. He called me Mama until he was 12, and even after he switched to Mom, he'd still hug me goodbye every morning before school. Even at 16, 17 years old, when his friends thought it was weird. "That's my mom," he'd say, shrugging. "I love her." We had our traditions. Every Friday night, we'd order Chinese food from Golden Dragon on Broadway. Chicken lo mein for him, shrimp with garlic sauce for me, 2 egg rolls to share. We'd eat on the couch and watch whatever movie was on TV. It didn't matter what it was. We just liked being together. On his 18th birthday, June 12, 2006, I gave him the watch that had belonged to his father. A Timex with a brown leather band. Nothing fancy, but Richard wore it every day for 10 years. David cried when he opened the box. He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "I'm gonna make you proud, Mama," he whispered. "I promise." And he did. He worked part-time at Target all through college, helping pay for his books and MetroCard. He graduated with a degree in business administration, got a job at a marketing firm in Manhattan, $52,000 a year starting salary. I was so proud I cried for 3 days straight. But then, in August of 2022, he met Jennifer. She worked at the same firm in the finance department. Jennifer Patterson, 28 years old, from Greenwich, Connecticut. Her father owned 3 car dealerships. Her mother was on the board of some hospital charity. They had a house with 6 bedrooms and a swimming pool. Jennifer had gone to Boston University. She wore Tiffany jewelry and carried a Louis Vuitton purse. David brought her to dinner at my apartment on a Thursday night in September. I'd made my famous pot roast, the one David always requested for his birthday. I'd spent $43 on good meat, new potatoes, carrots. I'd cleaned the apartment for 3 hours, even dusted the baseboards. Jennifer walked in wearing white designer jeans and heels that cost more than my monthly electric bill. She looked around my small living room, at my worn couch with the floral pattern, at the TV from 2008, at the curtains I'd sewn myself. I saw it in her eyes. The judgment, the disappointment. "It's nice," she said, but her voice was flat. She didn't mean it. At dinner, she barely touched her food. She asked for sparkling water. I didn't have sparkling water. I had tap water, filtered through the Brita pitcher. She drank half a glass and left the rest. David didn't notice. Or maybe he did, and he was trying hard to pretend everything was fine. He kept smiling too big, laughing too loud at Jennifer's stories about Pilates class and her mother's country club. After they left, I found her napkin on the table. She'd used it once and folded it neatly. Underneath it was a tiny piece of paper, a receipt that had fallen from her purse. $187 for a manicure at some salon in Soho. I made $16 an hour. That receipt was worth almost 12 hours of my work. That should have been my first warning. But I ignored it, because David was happy. And wasn't that what mattered? Over the next few months, I started seeing less of my son. Our Friday night Chinese food tradition? Gone. He was busy. Jennifer had plans. They were going to some restaurant in Tribeca, some rooftop bar in Williamsburg. Places where the appetizers cost $22. When David did call, it was quick. 5 minutes, maybe 10. "Hey, Mom, just checking in." "Yeah, everything's good. Jennifer says hi. Gotta go. We have reservations." By December, I'd met Jennifer exactly 4 times. Each time, she was polite. Cold, but polite. She'd ask me surface questions. "How's work, Helen? How's the weather been?" But she never really listened to my answers. Her eyes would drift to her phone, to David, to anywhere but my face. I told myself it was just an adjustment period. New relationships are like that. She's probably nervous about meeting her boyfriend's mother. Give her time, she'll warm up. But she didn't warm up. She froze over. In March of 2023, David told me they were moving in together. A 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, $2,800 a month. I didn't understand how they could afford it, even with both their salaries. Jennifer's parents are helping with the deposit, David explained. It's no big deal. No big deal. Those words stung more than he realized. I offered to help too. I have some money saved, I said. Maybe I could buy you some furniture, a kitchen table, a couch. That's okay, Mom, David said quickly. Too quickly. Jennifer's parents are taking care of it. They're buying us everything from West Elm. West Elm. I'd walked past that store once in Manhattan. I'd seen the prices in the window. A couch for $2,400. A coffee table for $890. More money than I spent on furniture in my entire life. Okay, I said, trying to keep my voice cheerful. Well, I'd love to see the apartment once you're settled. There was a pause. Yeah, definitely, once we're unpacked and everything. They moved in on April 1st. I didn't get an invitation to help. I found out they were moved in when I saw pictures on David's Instagram 3 days later. Jennifer standing in their living room, which looked like something from a magazine. Everything white and gray and perfect. The caption, "Home sweet home with my love." I waited for David to call and officially tell me. He didn't call for 6 days. When he finally did, I asked when I could visit. Soon, Mom. We're still getting settled. Jennifer's really particular about how things look. She wants everything perfect before we have people over. People. He said people. Not you. Not Mom. People. That's when I knew things had really changed. But I didn't know how much worse they were about to get. I didn't know that in just 18 months, I'd be standing in a ballroom, being screamed at and humiliated, questioning every sacrifice I'd ever made. And I definitely didn't know that I'd find the strength to fight back. I finally got to see their apartment on May 18th, 2023, 6 weeks after they'd moved in. Jennifer had invited me for Sunday brunch. 11 a.m. She'd specified the exact time in a text message that felt more like a summons than an invitation. I took the Q train from Queens to Brooklyn, then walked 8 blocks from the subway station. I'd bought a houseplant from the flower shop on 43rd Avenue, a beautiful peace lily in a ceramic pot, $32. I'd also baked my chocolate chip cookies, the ones David loved since he was 5 years old. I'd made them at 6 a.m. that morning, so they'd be fresh. When I knocked on their door at 10:58 a.m., Jennifer opened it wearing a silk robe that probably cost more than my winter coat. Her face fell when she saw the plant. "Oh," she said, "you brought a plant." "I thought it would brighten up your living room," I said, smiling. "We're trying to keep a minimalist aesthetic," Jennifer said, not moving to let me in. "Plants don't really fit our vibe. But thanks, I guess." She took the pot from my hands and immediately set it on the floor in the entryway, behind the door where no one would see it. Then she noticed the Tupperware container I was holding. "What's that?" "Cookies, David's favorite, chocolate chip." Jennifer's lips pressed into a thin line. "We don't really eat refined sugar. We're on a clean eating plan. Our nutritionist recommended it." Their nutritionist. They had a nutritionist. "Oh," I said. "Well, maybe David can have just one, for old time's sake?" "Helen, I just told you. We don't eat refined sugar. It causes inflammation." She took the container from me anyway and disappeared into the kitchen. I heard the refrigerator open and close. When she came back, she wiped her hands on her robe like she'd just handled something dirty. David emerged from the bedroom, wearing gym shorts and a t-shirt. "Hey, Mom." He hugged me, but it was quick, perfunctory. "How was the train?" "Fine, honey. Your apartment is beautiful." And it was. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. The white couch had decorative pillows arranged at exact angles. The coffee table had 3 books stacked precisely, all with neutral-colored covers. There were no family photos, no pictures of David as a kid, no pictures of us. On the wall, there was one large photograph in a white frame. Jennifer and David on some beach, both tan and laughing. Below it, a smaller frame with Jennifer's college sorority photo. "Where should I sit?" I asked, afraid to disturb anything. "The armchair's fine," Jennifer said, pointing to a gray velvet chair that looked more decorative than functional. I sat. The chair was hard and uncomfortable. We made small talk for 20 minutes. Jennifer told me about her Pilates instructor and a yoga retreat in upstate New York she was planning. David mostly stayed quiet, occasionally nodding along. At 11:35, Jennifer served brunch: avocado toast on gluten-free bread, a smoothie bowl with chia seeds. Everything artfully arranged on white plates. I ate it all, even though I was still hungry afterward. I told Jennifer it was delicious. She barely smiled. "So," I said, trying to connect with her, "David tells me you grew up in Connecticut. That must have been nice." "It was fine," Jennifer said. "Do you have siblings?" "A brother. He lives in California." "What does he do?" "Tech." It was like pulling teeth. Every answer was short, clipped. She didn't ask me anything about myself, not one question. I left at 1:15 p.m. David walked me to the door. "Thanks for coming, Mom," he said. "Any time, sweetheart. Maybe next time I can cook dinner for you both? At my place?" David glanced back at Jennifer, who was already on her phone on the couch. "Yeah, maybe. We're pretty busy with work and stuff, but I'll let you know." He never let me know. That night, my neighbor Rosa came by with empanadas. Rosa had lived across the hall for 12 years. She knew David since he was a teenager. "How was the visit?" she asked. I told her everything. The plant behind the door, the cookies in the refrigerator, the uncomfortable chair. Rosa shook her head. "Mija, I'm going to tell you something, and you're not going to want to hear it. But that girl? She doesn't respect you." "She's just young," I said. "She's adjusting." "Adjusting to what? Being a decent human being?" Rosa crossed her arms. "You raised that boy by yourself. You sacrificed everything. And now he's letting some spoiled rich girl treat you like you're nothing?" "David loves me," I said, but my voice sounded weak even to my own ears. "I know he does," Rosa said gently, "but love isn't enough when someone else is pulling the strings." I should have listened to Rosa, but I didn't, because listening would have meant admitting that I was losing my son. The second incident happened on June 30th, 2023, David's 35th birthday. I'd called him a week earlier to ask what he wanted to do. "Maybe I could take you to dinner," I suggested. "That Italian place in Astoria you used to love? Piccola Venezia?" "Actually, Mom, Jennifer's planning something. A dinner party at our place, with some friends from work." "Oh, that sounds nice. What time should I come?" There was a pause. A long pause. Too long. "The thing is," David said slowly, "it's kind of a young crowd. Jennifer's inviting like 8 people from the office. It might be kind of boring for you." "Boring for me?" I repeated. "David, it's your birthday. I've been there for every single one of your birthdays since you were born." "I know, Mom. But what?" Another pause. "Jennifer thinks it might be awkward, having my mom there when everyone else is just couples our age." I felt like I'd been slapped. "Awkward," I said. "I would make it awkward." "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying, David?" He sighed. "Can we just do something another day? Just you and me? I promise." I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. Instead, I said, "Sure, honey, whatever you want." We never did something another day. He was always busy. On his actual birthday, I texted him at 7:03 a.m. "Happy birthday to my beautiful boy. I love you more than anything in this world." He responded 6 hours later. "Thanks, Mom." No exclamation point, no heart emoji, no "love you too," just "thanks, Mom." I sent a card with $200 inside, 2 crisp $100 bills. It was money I'd saved for a new winter coat, but my old one would last another year. David was more important. He never mentioned receiving it. Not a text, not a call, nothing. What I discovered later from his Instagram, because that's how I had to get updates on my own son's life now, was that Jennifer had thrown him a surprise party. There were 40 people there, catered food, a bartender, a custom cake from some fancy bakery in Manhattan. And in every single photo, Everyone was young, beautiful, dressed in expensive clothes, holding cocktails, laughing. David looked happy, the happiest I'd seen him in months. I wasn't there, but I sent $200, money I needed, money that apparently didn't matter. By August, the pattern was clear. I would call David, and he'd answer maybe 1 in every 3 times. When he did answer, he'd be distracted. I could hear Jennifer in the background. "David, we need to leave in 10 minutes. David, did you call the contractor? David, hurry up." And he'd rush me off the phone. "Sorry, Mom, gotta go. I'll call you back." He never called back. On August 19th, I texted him, "Can I take you to lunch this week? My treat, anywhere you want." He responded the next day, "This week's crazy. Maybe next month?" Next month came and went. No lunch. On September 3rd, Labor Day weekend, I ran into David's college friend Marcus at the grocery store. Marcus had been to our apartment 100 times. I used to make him and David grilled cheese sandwiches while they played video games. "Helen, how are you?" Marcus hugged me. "How's David?" "He's good," I said. "Busy with work and Jennifer." "Oh man, Jennifer," Marcus said, and something in his tone made me look up. "She's something else, huh?" "What do you mean?" Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Nothing, just she's very different from David. But if he's happy, that's what matters." "Have you seen them recently?" I asked. "I tried to hang out with David last month," Marcus said. "But Jennifer said she needed him to help her with wedding planning stuff. Wedding planning on a Saturday afternoon, you know? He canceled on me an hour before." "They're engaged?" My voice came out as a whisper. Marcus's face went pale. "Oh God, you didn't know. Helen, I'm so sorry. I thought, when did he propose?" "I don't know. Like July, maybe?" "I saw it on Facebook." I stood in that grocery store, holding a carton of eggs and a loaf of bread, and I realized my son had gotten engaged and didn't tell me. I'd found out from his college friend in the produce section. I drove home, left the groceries in the car, and sat on my couch for 2 hours. Finally, I called David. He didn't answer. I called again. No answer. I texted, "I ran into Marcus today. He mentioned something interesting. Call me." David called back 20 minutes later. "Hey, Mom. Sorry, I was in a meeting." "You're engaged," I said. Not a question, a statement. Silence. "David?" "Yeah," he said finally. "We are. I was going to tell you." "When? When were you going to tell me? It's been 2 months." "I know. I'm sorry. Everything's been so crazy. Jennifer's been planning so much, and I—" "You what? You forgot? You forgot to tell your mother that you're getting married?" "Mom, please don't make this a big deal. Don't make it a big deal." My voice was rising. I couldn't help it. "David, I'm your mother. You proposed to someone and you didn't even think to call me?" "Jennifer wanted to tell her parents first. And then we told her extended family. And then we had to—" "I'm not extended family, David. I'm your mother. I'm the only parent you have left." That stopped him. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "I know," he said quietly. "I'm sorry. I should have told you right away." "Yes, you should have. We want you at the wedding, Mom." "Of course we do." "Want, not need. Want." "When is it?" I asked. "October 14th next year. We're booking the Riverside Manor in Westchester." That was 13 months away. "And I'm just finding out now?" I said I'm sorry. But sorry doesn't fix everything. Sorry doesn't give me back those 2 months of not knowing. Sorry doesn't explain why I had to hear it from Marcus in a grocery store instead of from my own son. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment and cried for the first time in years. Real, ugly crying, the kind that makes your whole body shake. Rosa heard me through the wall and came over. She held me while I sobbed. "He's gone," I kept saying. "I lost him." "No, mija," Rosa said. "He's just lost himself. But maybe he'll find his way back." I wanted to believe her. But deep down, I knew things were going to get worse before they got better. Because Jennifer wasn't just taking my son. She was erasing me. And the worst part? David was letting her. What I didn't know then was that the engagement was just the beginning. The real humiliation, the real pain, was still months away, and it would happen in front of 150 people, on what should have been one of the happiest days of my life. The wedding planning started in October 2023, exactly 1 year before the wedding date. And that's when Jennifer really showed me who she was. On October 22nd, a Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., Jennifer called me. Not David. Jennifer. That should have been my first clue. "Helen, we need to discuss your role in the wedding," she said. No greeting. No, "How are you?" Just straight to business. "Of course," I said, excited despite everything. "I'd love to help however I can." "Well, traditionally, the mother of the groom doesn't do much. The bride's mother handles most of the planning. But there are a few things we need to go over." I heard her typing on a keyboard. She was multitasking, talking to me while doing something else. "First, the dress code. We're doing a very specific color palette: dusty rose, champagne, ivory, and sage green. All the mothers and grandmothers will wear dusty rose. I'm texting you a photo of the exact shade right now." My phone buzzed. I looked at the image. It was a very specific, muted pink. Beautiful, but unusual. "It's lovely," I said. "Where would I find a dress in this color?" Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Saks. They all carry formal dresses. "The wedding's a year away, so you have plenty of time." Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Saks. Stores where dresses started at $300 and went up from there. I'd never bought a dress from any of those stores in my entire life. "Jennifer, I need to be honest with you. My budget for a dress is probably around $150, maybe $200 if I save. Do you think I could find something at Macy's or—" "Helen." Her voice turned sharp. "This is my wedding. I've spent months planning the aesthetic. Every detail matters. I can't have you showing up in some cheap dress that doesn't match." "Cheap," she said, "cheap." "I understand you want everything to look nice," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "But I'm on a fixed income. Social Security doesn't leave much room for—" "David told me you've been working at that dental office for 30 years. Surely you have some savings." I did have savings, $4,300 in a savings account. Money I'd set aside for emergencies. For when my refrigerator died, or my car needed major repairs, or I needed a medical procedure my Medicare didn't cover. "I do have some savings," I said, "but that's for emergencies." "This is David's wedding," Jennifer said. Isn't that important enough? What could I say to that? That my emergency fund mattered more than my son's wedding? That I was worried about putting my financial security at risk for a dress I'd wear once? "I'll figure something out," I said finally. "Good. I'll send you links to some options. Also, we need to talk about your +1. "My +1? "For the wedding. You get one guest. Who are you bringing?" I hadn't thought about it. I didn't have a partner. Most of my friends were casual acquaintances from work or my building. I'm not sure yet. Maybe my neighbor Rosa? The older Hispanic lady? The way she said it made my skin crawl. Yes. Rosa. She's been my friend for over a decade. She's known David since he was a teenager. Well, we're trying to keep the guest list under 150. Every spot counts. Maybe you could just come alone. That way we'd have room for more of our friends from work. "You want me to come alone?" I repeated, "to my son's wedding?" "It's just a suggestion. Think about it." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there, phone in my hand, shaking. Every spot counts, but apparently, my spot, my comfort, my feelings, those didn't count at all. The next incident happened on December 10th, 2023. Jennifer had scheduled a wedding planning brunch at a restaurant in Manhattan, Sarah Beth's on the Upper West Side. She'd invited her mother, Susan, her grandmother, 2 aunts, and 3 of her bridesmaids, and me. I took the train into Manhattan, a 50-minute ride. I wore my nicest pants and a sweater I'd bought on sale at Kohl's 3 years ago. When I walked into the restaurant, I saw them immediately. They were all sitting at a long table, laughing, drinking mimosas. 8 white women in expensive clothes, with expensive haircuts and designer bags. I felt like I was walking into a country club where I didn't have a membership. "Helen, there you are!" Jennifer waved me over. She didn't stand up, Didn't hug me. Just waved, like I was a waitress she was trying to flag down. I sat at the end of the table. The only open chair. Jennifer's mother, Susan, was at the other end, holding court, telling a story about some charity gala. Everyone was laughing. No one had noticed me sit down. A waiter came by. "Can I start you with a drink?" "Just water, please," I said. "Still or sparkling?" I had no idea there was a difference. "Still is fine." Jennifer leaned over. "Mom, they have amazing cocktails here. The watermelon mojito is to die for." "I'm okay with water," I said. "Are you sure? It's a celebration." "Water is fine, Jennifer." "Thank you." She shrugged and turned back to her conversation with her maid of honor. When the food came, I nearly choked when I saw the prices on the menu. $28 for avocado toast, $34 for a salad, $42 for eggs Benedict. I ordered the cheapest thing I could find, a fruit bowl for $18. $18 for cut-up fruit. I could buy a week's worth of fruit at my grocery store for that price. Everyone else ordered entrees, appetizers, extra sides. Jennifer's mother ordered a $56 steak and eggs at brunch. For 2 hours, I sat at that table while they talked about flower arrangements, centerpiece options, the font on the invitations. Jennifer's mother had opinions on everything. "I think the roses should be garden roses, not spray roses. More elegant. The invitations should be letterpress, definitely. Engraved is too old-fashioned." Every decision cost hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. And I sat there eating my $18 fruit bowl, saying nothing. Because what could I say? I didn't know the difference between garden roses and spray roses. I didn't know what letterpress meant. At the end of the meal, the waiter brought the check. Jennifer's mother picked it up, glanced at it, and smiled. "Let's just split this evenly. Easier that way." My heart stopped. Split it evenly. 9 ways. The total was $8.47, plus tax and tip, probably close to $150. Divided by 9, that was $117 per person. I'd eaten an $8 fruit bowl and drunk 3 glasses of tap water. "Actually," I said, my voice shaking, "I'd prefer to just pay for what I ordered, if that's okay." The table went silent. Every woman looked at me. Jennifer's mother raised her eyebrows. "Oh, well, I suppose we could do that, if you want to be difficult about it." Difficult? She said I was being difficult for not wanting to pay $117 for an $18 fruit bowl. "I'm not trying to be difficult," I said. I'm on a limited budget." Jennifer's face turned red. She looked mortified. "Mom, it's fine. Can you put in $20? I'll cover the rest." $20. In front of all these women, my future daughter-in-law was telling me to put in $20 like I was a charity case. I reached into my purse and pulled out $25. I put it on the table and stood up. "I need to use the restroom," I said. I locked myself in a bathroom stall and cried. I cried until my makeup ran, until my nose turned red, until I couldn't cry anymore. Then I washed my face, fixed myself as best I could, and went back to the table. They were all standing, putting on coats, laughing about something. Not one person asked if I was okay. On the train ride home, I did the math. Between the train fare, $5, $50 each way, and the brunch, I'd spent $36 for the privilege of sitting at a table where I didn't belong, eating fruit I didn't want, and being humiliated in front of strangers. But it got worse. Oh, it got so much worse. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, David called me. "Hey, Mom, got a minute?" "Always, sweetheart. What's going on?" "So, Jennifer and I were talking, and we were wondering, would you be able to contribute to the wedding? Financially, I mean?" My stomach dropped. "Contribute how much?" "Well, her parents are paying for most of it. The venue, the catering, the photographer. But there are some other expenses. The rehearsal dinner, the flowers, the DJ. We were hoping you could maybe cover the rehearsal dinner." "How much would that cost?" "The restaurant can do it for $4,500. That's for 40 people, family and wedding party. $4,500, more than my entire savings account." "David," I said slowly, "I don't have $4,500. "What about your savings? You told Jennifer you have savings. I have some savings, yes, but not that much, and what I do have is for emergencies. This is my wedding, Mom. His voice turned cold, hard, just like Jennifer's. Doesn't that count as important? Of course it's important, but honey, I can't empty my entire emergency fund for— Forget it, David said. Jennifer's parents will just cover it, like they cover everything else. David, please don't. I gotta go, Mom. Jennifer's calling me. He hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling like I'd failed some test I didn't even know I was taking. How dare I not have $4,500 lying around? How dare I prioritize my own financial security over funding a party for 40 people? I thought about Richard, my husband, David's father. If he were alive, he would have stood up for me. He would have told David that what he was asking was unreasonable. He would have reminded our son where he came from. But Richard was gone, and I was alone. On April 6, 2024, 6 months before the wedding, I got a call from David. Mom, Jennifer wants to take you dress shopping. This Saturday at 11 a.m., can you make it? Finally, an invitation, an olive branch. Maybe this was Jennifer trying to make things right. I'd love that, I said. Where are we going? Bloomingdale's in Manhattan. Jennifer knows someone in the formal wear department. Bloomingdale's. My heart sank, but I said yes. Because maybe, just maybe, this was a chance to bond with her. That Saturday, I met Jennifer outside Bloomingdale's at 10:55 a.m. She was on her phone, texting. She barely looked up when I approached. Let's make this quick, she said. I have a hair appointment at 1. Inside, she led me to the formal wear section. The saleswoman, a tall woman named Patricia, greeted us warmly. Jennifer, so good to see you, and this must be Helen. Hi, I said. Nice to meet you. Jennifer told me you're looking for a dusty rose dress for the wedding. I've pulled a few options. She showed me to a dressing room where 5 dresses hung, all beautiful, all in the right color, all between $400 and $650. I said, do you have anything under $200? Patricia's smile faltered. Under $200? Informal wear? That's difficult. These are designer pieces. Jennifer, standing behind her, crossed her arms. Helen, we talked about this. The dress needs to be high quality. It can't look cheap in photos. I understand that, I said, but I told you my budget was— Try them on, Jennifer said. Maybe one of them will be worth the investment. Worth the investment. Like I was buying a car or a house, not a dress I'd wear for 5 hours. I tried on all 5 dresses. They were beautiful. One, a silk dress with delicate beading, made me feel elegant, made me feel beautiful, something I hadn't felt in years. That one's perfect, Patricia said. It fits you like it was made for you. I looked at the price tag. $595. I can't, I said. I'm sorry. I just can't. Jennifer sighed loudly. Helen, what do you want me to say? I gave you a year's notice. You should have been saving. I should have been saving. Like I hadn't been saving my whole life. Like I hadn't saved to send David to college, to buy him a car, to give him every opportunity I never had. I'm sorry, I said again. Can we try somewhere else? Maybe Macy's or— I don't have time for this, Jennifer said. I have my hair appointment. Just order something online. I don't care. Just make sure it's dusty rose and it doesn't look cheap. She walked out of Bloomingdale's without saying goodbye. I stood there in that dressing room, still wearing the $595 dress that made me feel beautiful, and I started to cry. Again. The tears just wouldn't stop anymore. Patricia knocked on the door. Honey, are you okay? I'm fine, I lied. That girl is a piece of work, Patricia said quietly. You deserve better. But did I? At this point, I wasn't sure anymore. I took the train home, spent 3 weeks scouring the internet, and finally found a champagne gold dress on sale at Nordstrom Rack for $189. It wasn't dusty rose, but it was close. It was elegant. It fit. It was all I could afford. I texted Jennifer a photo. What do you think? She responded 3 hours later. That's not dusty rose. I know, I typed, but it's the closest I could find in my budget. Whatever. Just don't stand near the bridesmaids in photos. Don't stand near the bridesmaids, like I was a stain that would ruin the picture. By August, I'd stopped trying. I called David once a week, and he answered maybe once a month. I sent texts, cheerful, loving texts, and got one-word responses. K. Busy. Later. I was being erased. Slowly, methodically, I was being removed from my son's life. On September 20th, 3 weeks before the wedding, I had my final moment of clarity. The moment I decided I was done being a doormat. I'd gone to the bank to withdraw $5,000 in cash for their wedding gift. It was every penny I'd saved over the past year. I'd picked up extra shifts at the dental office. I'd stopped eating out completely. I'd canceled my Netflix subscription, my newspaper subscription, everything I could cut. I even sold my mother's silver tea set, a family heirloom worth $800 at a pawn shop, $5,000 in crisp $100 bills. I put them in a cream-colored envelope and wrote, "To David and Jennifer with all my love," on the front. That night, I had a dream about Richard. He was standing in our old kitchen, the one with the yellow wallpaper we'd picked out together in 1988. He looked at me and said, "Honey, when did you forget your worth?" I woke up at 3:47 a.m., my pillow wet with tears. When did I forget my worth? When did I decide that my love was only valuable if it came with money attached? When did I accept being treated like I was worthless unless I could fund their dreams? I thought about that envelope. $5,000. Money that could replace my 15-year-old refrigerator that made weird noises. Money that could fix the crack in my windshield. Money that could be a cushion for the next time my body broke down and I needed medical care. But I'd give it to them anyway. Because that's what mothers do. We give everything, even when we have nothing left. Except this time, I was going to make sure they knew exactly what it cost me. I was going to that wedding. I was going to wear my champagne gold dress with my head held high. I was going to be gracious and kind, the way I'd always been. But if they disrespected me one more time, if they humiliated me in public, if they treated me like I was nothing, I was taking that money back. And what I didn't know yet, what I would discover in just 3 weeks at that wedding, was that taking back that money would be just the beginning. Because Jennifer and David didn't just need that money. They were depending on it, counting on it. And when I took it away, everything they'd built would start to crumble. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, I had to survive the wedding. And let me tell you, what happened on October 14th, 2024 at 7:43 p.m. in that ballroom would change everything forever. October 12th, 2024, 2 days before the wedding. I was in my apartment, ironing my champagne gold dress, when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Hi, may I speak with Helen Rodriguez? A woman's voice, professional, clipped. This is Helen. Mrs. Rodriguez, this is Amanda Chen from First National Bank. I'm calling about your son, David Rodriguez, and his fiancée, Jennifer Patterson. They listed you as a reference on their mortgage application. My heart stopped. Mortgage application? Yes. They're applying for a loan to purchase a property in Brooklyn. A 2-bedroom condo at 447 Atlantic Avenue. The purchase price is $875,000. $875,000. My son was buying a condo that cost nearly $1 million. I didn't know they were buying, I said. Oh. Amanda's voice changed, became cautious. I'm sorry. I assumed you knew. They listed you as a financial reference. Are you willing to provide information about your son's financial reliability? What do you need to know? Well, we're just confirming character references at this point. Have you observed David and Jennifer managing money responsibly? Are they generally timely with financial obligations? I thought about David ghosting me when I asked about receiving the $200 birthday money. About Jennifer demanding I spend $595 on a dress. About them asking me to fund a $4,500 rehearsal dinner. Mrs. Rodriguez? They seem fine, I said weakly. I mean, I don't know all their finances. Understood. One more question. Are you aware of any large debts or financial obligations they might have that aren't listed on their application? No, I don't think so. Thank you for your time. She hung up. I sat on my couch holding the phone, my mind racing. $875,000. David had never mentioned buying a condo, not once. But he'd asked me for $4,500 for a rehearsal dinner. He was about to take on a mortgage that would probably cost $4,000 or $5,000 a month, and he was nickel and dimming his mother. I did what any mother in 2024 would do. I Googled the address, 447 Atlantic Avenue, a luxury building in downtown Brooklyn. The photos showed gleaming hardwood floors, floor-to-ceiling windows, a modern kitchen with marble countertops. The building had a gym, a rooftop terrace, a doorman. I clicked on the listing. 2-bed, 2-bath, 150 SQFT, $875,000. HOA fees, $892 a month. Estimated mortgage, $4,173 a month at current rates. Nearly $5,000 a month. Plus HOA fees. That was $5,165 per month, just for housing. I pulled up my calculator app. David made about $75,000 a year, which was roughly $6,250 per month before taxes. After taxes, probably $4,500 or so. Jennifer made similar. Together, their take-home pay was maybe $9,000 per month. If they spent $5,765 on housing, that left them $3,235 for everything else. Student loans, car payments, insurance, groceries, utilities, phone bills, credit cards. And they were planning a wedding that looked like it cost at least $80,000 based on the venue, the catering, the photographer Jennifer kept posting about. They were drowning. They had to be drowning. I clicked on Jennifer's Instagram. Her profile was public. I scrolled through months of posts, designer handbags, dinners at expensive restaurants, a girls' trip to Miami in July, a weekend in the Hamptons in August, a $3,200 Cartier bracelet David had given her for their anniversary in September. They were living way beyond their means. Way, way beyond. And then I saw it. A post from 3 days ago. Jennifer standing in what looked like an empty apartment, holding a champagne glass. The caption: "Can't wait to start our new life in our dream home. Just need to make it through closing next month." Closing next month. November 2024. Down payments on condos like that were typically 20%. 20% of $875,000 was $175,000. Where were they getting $175,000? I scrolled further back on Jennifer's Instagram and found my answer. A post from April. "So grateful for my parents for helping us achieve our dreams." Jennifer's parents were helping. But I knew from banking practices that even with parental help, lenders wanted to see that buyers had their own funds too, that they had financial stability, emergency savings. That's when it hit me. They needed my $5,000, not wanted, needed. The bank wanted to see that they had reserves, cash in hand, money to cover emergencies, mortgage payments if one of them lost a job, unexpected expenses. My $5,000 was part of their financial picture. Part of what they'd show the bank to prove they could afford this place. I opened my laptop and started researching. I spent the next 4 hours learning everything I could about mortgages, down payments, cash reserves, bank requirements. By 11 p.m., I understood. Lenders typically wanted borrowers to have 2 to 6 months of mortgage payments in reserve. For a $4,173 monthly mortgage, that meant they'd need to show between $9,746 and $29,238 in liquid savings after making the down payment. If Jennifer's parents were covering most of the down payment, David and Jennifer would still need to show they had their own savings. My $5,000 might be a crucial piece of that puzzle. I picked up my phone and called my neighbor Rosa. "Mija, it's 11 o'clock at night. What's wrong?" "Rosa, if I give someone a cash gift, do I have to give it to them?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, if I have an envelope with cash and I'm planning to give it as a gift, but they disrespect me before I hand it over, can I just not give it?" "Helen, it's your money. You can do whatever you want with it." "But it's a wedding gift. Isn't there some I don't know, some obligation? The only obligation you have is to yourself, Rosa said firmly. If someone treats you like garbage, you don't owe them anything. Not money, not kindness, nothing. Why are you asking me this? I told her everything. The mortgage, the Instagram posts, the $5,000 they were probably counting on. Don't give them a penny, Rosa said. Not one penny. They've treated you like dirt for 2 years. They don't deserve your money. But what if they really need it? What if taking it back hurts them? Then they'll learn a valuable lesson, Rosa said. Actions have consequences. You can't treat people like trash and expect them to keep giving you things. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed holding that envelope, thinking about everything, all the sacrifices, all the humiliation, all the times I'd swallowed my pride and my pain because I loved my son. But love without respect isn't love. It's martyrdom. And I was done being a martyr. The next day, October 13th, the day before the wedding, I did something I'd never done before. I wrote myself a letter. I needed to see it in writing. Needed to remind myself why I was about to do what I was about to do. Dear Helen, I wrote, you are not a bad mother for having boundaries. You are not selfish for expecting basic respect. You gave David everything you had. You sacrificed your comfort, your savings, your happiness. You were enough. You are enough. If he chooses someone who treats you like you're worthless, that's his mistake, not yours. Don't let guilt make you accept cruelty. Love yourself enough to walk away. Love yourself enough to take back what's yours. I folded the letter and put it in my purse, right next to the envelope with $5,000. October 14th, 2024, the wedding day. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. I showered, did my hair, put on makeup. I took my time, made myself look as beautiful as I could. I put on my champagne gold dress. It wasn't dusty rose, but it was elegant. It was expensive by my standards. And it made me feel strong. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked like David's mother. I looked like a woman who'd survived losing a husband, raising a child alone, working for 30 years to give her son a good life. I looked like someone who deserved respect. The wedding was at 5 p.m. The ceremony started right on time. I sat in the third row, alone. Rosa had wanted to come, but I'd told her no. I needed to do this by myself. Jennifer looked beautiful in her dress. Of course she did. Everything about this wedding was beautiful. The flowers, the music, the venue, everything money could buy. David stood at the altar in his tuxedo. And for a moment, I saw him as that little boy again. 7 years old, crying in my arms the day we buried his father. Promise you won't leave me too, Mama, he'd sobbed. I promise, I'd said. I'll never leave you. But he'd left me. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. He'd chosen a woman who treated me like an inconvenience. And he'd let her. The ceremony was 35 minutes long. They said their vows. I promise to love you unconditionally, David said, looking into Jennifer's eyes. Unconditionally. That word hurt more than it should have. Then it was over. They were married. Everyone applauded. I applauded too, because he was still my son, and some part of me still hoped that maybe, just maybe, things would get better. The cocktail hour was in the garden. I stood by myself near the fountain, holding a glass of wine I wasn't drinking, watching groups of Jennifer's family and friends laughing and taking photos. No one talked to me. Not one person. At 6:55 p.m., we moved into the ballroom for the reception. I found my assigned seat, table 14, in the back corner, as far from the head table as you could get without being in a different room. I was seated with Jennifer's distant relatives, an elderly aunt who was hard of hearing and 3 cousins I'd never met. They talked among themselves. I smiled and nodded and felt invisible. Dinner was served at 7:25, filet mignon and salmon. It was delicious. I barely tasted it. At 7:43 p.m., I decided to give them their gift. I wanted to do it privately, away from the crowd. I picked up the envelope and walked toward the head table where David and Jennifer were sitting, laughing with the wedding party. David, I said softly, can I talk to you for a second? He looked up, surprised. Oh, hey, Mom, what's up? I wanted to give you your gift. I held out the envelope. Jennifer's head snapped toward me. Her eyes went immediately to what I was wearing. The champagne gold dress, not dusty rose. Her face changed, morphed, went from fake smile to pure rage in 2 seconds. "What are you wearing?" she said, her voice low and dangerous. "My dress," I said calmly. "I sent you a photo, remember? You said, 'That's not dusty rose.'" Jennifer stood up. The people at nearby tables started to notice, started to turn and watch. "Jennifer, it's fine," David said quietly. "Mom looks nice." "Fine? Look at her. Look at all the mothers and grandmothers." Jennifer gestured wildly at the other tables. "They're all in dusty rose, all of them, except her. She's in gold. She's ruining every single photo." "It's champagne, actually," I said. "And I explained to you that I couldn't afford—" "I don't care what you could afford." Jennifer's voice was rising. People were definitely staring now. "I gave you a year to figure it out, 1 year, and you couldn't be bothered to follow one simple instruction." My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice steady. "I did my best, Jennifer." "Your best? Your best wasn't good enough. You knew how important this day was to me. You knew every detail mattered, and you showed up looking like you're trying to compete with me." "Compete with you?" I was genuinely baffled. "Jennifer, I'm wearing a simple dress. I'm not trying to—" "Get out," Jennifer said. The ballroom went silent. The DJ stopped the music. "What?" I whispered. "You heard me. You're ruining my photos. Get out of my wedding, now." I looked at David, my son, my only child, the boy I'd given everything for. "David?" My voice cracked. "Are you going to let her talk to me like this?" He looked at me, then at Jennifer, then at the floor. He said nothing. "David, please," I said. "Say something." He wouldn't meet my eyes. His face was red, embarrassed, but not for Jennifer, for me. "David!" Jennifer snapped. "Tell her to leave." And my son, my beautiful boy who I'd raised alone, who I'd worked myself to the bone for, who I'd loved more than my own life, looked up and said quietly, "Mom, maybe you should go." Something inside me broke. And then, just as quickly, it hardened into steel. I looked down at the envelope in my hands. $5,000, $50 $100 bills, their mortgage reserve, their financial security, their dream condo deposit. I smiled, a real smile, maybe the first genuine smile I'd had in 2 years. "You're absolutely right," I said clearly, loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. "I should go." I turned and walked toward the exit. My heels clicked on the marble floor. Every eye in that ballroom followed me. I didn't cry, not one tear, because I knew something they didn't. In 3 days, maybe 4, their mortgage application would need proof of those cash reserves, and that $5,000 wouldn't be there, because it was in my purse, in my car, going home with me. And whatever happened next, whatever consequences they faced, whatever dreams collapsed because they were $5,000 short, they earned it. I drove home that night at 8:47 p.m. The envelope with $5,000 sat on my passenger seat. I kept looking at it at red lights, half expecting it to disappear. Proof that what just happened was real. When I got home, Rosa was waiting in the hallway. She took one look at my face and said, "Come here, Misha." I broke down in her arms, not sad tears, relieved tears, free tears. "I did it," I whispered. I walked out. I kept the money. "Good," Rosa said fiercely. "Good. Now come inside. I made you arroz con pollo. You need to eat." I slept better that night than I had in 2 years. No nightmares, no anxiety, just deep, peaceful sleep. The next morning, Sunday, October 15th, my phone rang at 9:23 a.m. "David." I stared at the screen for 3 rings before I answered. "Mom?" His voice was tight, strained. "Where's the money?" Not, "How are you?" Not, "I'm sorry." Just, "Where's the money?" "Good morning to you too, David," I said calmly. "Mom, this isn't funny. Where's the wedding gift? Jennifer's asking about it." The envelope with the cash? Yes. Did you leave it at the venue? Did you give it to someone? I took a sip of my coffee. Let him wait. No, David, I took it home with me. Silence. Long, heavy silence. You... what? I took it home. It's sitting on my kitchen table right now. $100 bills. $5,000. Mom, that was our wedding gift. No, I said, and my voice was steel. That was going to be your wedding gift. Before your wife screamed at me in front of 150 people and threw me out of your wedding. Before you sat there and said nothing while she humiliated me. Mom, Jennifer was stressed. It was her wedding day. Don't you dare make excuses for her, I interrupted. I sent her a photo of that dress months ago. She knew what I was wearing, and she chose that moment, in front of everyone, to humiliate me. To punish me for not spending $600 on a dress I'd wear for 5 hours. It wasn't about the dress. Then what was it about, David? What have I done to deserve the way she treats me? The way you let her treat me? He didn't answer. I gave you everything, I said, and my voice cracked despite my best efforts. I worked myself to the bone to give you a good life. I paid for your braces, your summer camp, your college. I went without, so you'd never have to. And for what? So you could marry someone who treats me like garbage? So you could stand by silently while she throws me out of your wedding? I didn't know what to do, David said, and he sounded like a child. Lost and scared. She was so angry. Everyone was watching. I froze. You froze, I repeated. Your mother was being verbally attacked, and you froze. I'm sorry, he whispered. Are you sorry that it happened, or are you sorry that I took the money? He didn't answer. That told me everything. We need that money, Mom, David said finally. We're closing on a condo next month. The bank wants to see that we have reserves. You need $5,000, I finished. I know. The bank called me. They listed me as a reference on your mortgage application. Oh. His voice got very small. I forgot about that. You forgot, just like you forgot to tell me you were engaged, just like you forgot to call me on your birthday, just like you forgot that I'm your mother and I deserve basic respect. Mom, please. We'll lose the condo if we don't have enough in reserves. Jennifer's parents already put in so much money. If we lose this place because of $5,000, then you'll learn a very expensive lesson about treating people with dignity, I said. Maybe you'll find the money somewhere else. Maybe you'll borrow it. Maybe you'll ask Jennifer's parents, or maybe you'll lose the condo. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. You're being petty. David's voice rose, angry now. You're punishing us because you got your feelings hurt. My feelings hurt? I laughed. It was a harsh sound. David, she's been treating me like trash for 2 years. 2 years of snide comments, exclusion, demands for money I don't have. 2 years of you canceling on me, ignoring my calls, choosing her over me every single time. This isn't about my feelings being hurt. This is about me finally having enough self-respect to say no. So what? You're just going to keep the money. That's stealing. It's not stealing. It's mine. I earned it. And I'm keeping it. I'm buying myself a new refrigerator, one that doesn't sound like it's dying. Maybe I'll take Rosa on a trip somewhere nice. Maybe I'll just keep it in my savings account for the next time Jennifer decides I need to fund something I can't afford. I can't believe you're doing this, David said. I can't believe it took me this long, I replied. He hung up on me. For 3 days, silence, no calls, no texts, nothing. On Wednesday, October 18th, at 11:04 a.m., there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole. David, standing alone. He looked terrible. Unshaven, tired, his eyes red. I opened the door. Can I come in? He asked quietly. I stepped aside. He walked to the living room. The same living room where he'd grown up, where we'd eaten Friday night Chinese food for years, where we'd laughed and cried and built a life together. He sat on the couch, put his head in his hands. We lost the condo, he said. The bank said we didn't have enough in reserves. We were $5,000 short. They rejected our application. I said nothing. Jennifer's furious. She's been crying for 3 days. Her parents are pissed. They say I should have gotten the money from you before the wedding, not after. Like it was my job to manage you. Manage me, I repeated. That's what her mother said, that I needed to manage my mother better. And what do you think, David? He looked up at me. His father's eyes. So much pain in them. I think I've been an idiot, he said. I think I've let Jennifer treat you terribly. I think I've been so desperate to make her happy that I forgot about making you happy. I forgot about protecting you. Yes, I said simply. You did. She changed me, David said. I didn't even realize it was happening. But every time she'd make a comment about you, I'd defend her instead of you. Every time she'd exclude you, I'd make excuses. I told myself she'd come around eventually, that I just needed to give her time. 2 years wasn't enough time? I don't know if any amount of time would have been enough, David admitted. She doesn't like you, Mom. She thinks you're beneath us, beneath her. She hates that I came from a working-class family, that you're not wealthy like her parents, that you live in Queens in a rent-stabilized apartment instead of some fancy neighborhood. I know, I said. I've always known. Then why didn't you say something? I did say something. Multiple times. You just didn't listen. He nodded slowly. You're right. I didn't listen. Because listening would have meant choosing. You or her. And I thought I could have both. You can't have both, David. Not when one person is actively cruel to the other. Not when she demands I humiliate myself financially and socially just to fit into her perfect aesthetic. I know, he whispered. I know that now. We sat in silence for a long moment. Are you going to leave her? I asked. David's face crumpled. I don't know. I love her, Mom. Even after everything, I love her. But I also know that if I stay with her, I'll lose you. And I can't. I can't lose you too. Dad's already gone. You're all I have left. That's not true, I said gently. You have Jennifer. You have her family. You have your job, your friends. You have a whole life. But you're right about one thing. If you stay with her and nothing changes, you will lose me. Not because I'll walk away, but because I won't allow myself to be treated like that anymore. I can't. I spent 2 years shrinking myself, apologizing for existing, accepting crumbs of affection from my own son. I'm done with that. What do you want me to do? David asked. I want you to have a spine, I said bluntly. I want you to tell Jennifer that the way she treats me is unacceptable, that if she wants to be part of this family, she needs to show basic respect. Not love, not affection, just basic human respect. And if she can't do that, then yes, you need to choose, her or me. Because I won't spend the next 20 years being the mother-in-law she mocks at parties and excludes from family events and tolerates at holidays. She's never going to change, David said. I know her. She thinks she's right. She thinks you're overly sensitive and dramatic. Then you have your answer, I said. David started crying. Real, body-shaking sobs. I don't know what to do. I sat next to him on the couch, put my arm around him like I used to when he was little, and the world seemed too big and scary. You'll figure it out, I said. But whatever you decide, decide for yourself. Not because I'm pressuring you, not because you feel guilty. Make a choice you can live with. He stayed for 2 hours. We talked about everything. His father, our life before Jennifer, the moments he started losing himself, the times he wanted to speak up but didn't. When he left, he hugged me tight. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry for everything. I love you too, baby. Always. That was 6 weeks ago. It's now late November 2024, and here's where things stand. David is still with Jennifer. They're living in their rental apartment in Brooklyn. They're looking for cheaper condos in Queens or further out. The relationship is strained. David told me Jennifer barely speaks to him some days, blames him for losing the condo, blames me. But David calls me now, twice a week, sometimes 3 times. We had lunch last Tuesday at our old Italian place in Astoria, just him and me. He asked about my life. Really asked, really listened. He told me he's in therapy, working through things, trying to find himself again. I don't know if we'll make it, he admitted over pasta. Every day I'm with her, I feel like I'm choosing her over you, and it makes me sick. Then maybe you have your answer, I said. Maybe, he agreed. I still have the $5,000. I bought a new refrigerator for $200. Put the rest back in savings. It's my security, my safety net. And I'm not sorry I kept it. Some people might think I'm petty, vindictive, that I should have been the bigger person and given them the money anyway. But here's what I learned through all of this. Being the bigger person doesn't mean accepting abuse. It doesn't mean sacrificing your dignity for someone else's comfort. It doesn't mean giving everything you have to people who treat you like you're nothing. I've spent 69 years being the bigger person, working extra shifts, going without, making excuses for people who hurt me, accepting less than I deserved because I was afraid of being alone, being rejected, being called selfish. But keeping that money wasn't selfish. It was self-preservation. It was me finally saying, I matter too. My financial security matters. My dignity matters. If you're watching this and you've been treated like you don't matter by someone you love, I want you to hear me. You do matter. Your feelings are valid. Your boundaries are necessary. And walking away from people who disrespect you isn't giving up on them. It's choosing yourself. I don't know what's going to happen with David and Jennifer. Maybe they'll work it out. Maybe therapy will help them. Maybe Jennifer will have some revelation and realize how she's treated me. Or maybe David will wake up one day and realize that love without respect isn't really love at all. Either way, I'll be okay. Because I have Rosa. I have my little apartment. I have my job and my routine and my dignity intact. And I have my son, slowly finding his way back to me. That's enough. If this story resonated with you, if you've been in my shoes, or know someone who has, please leave a comment. Tell me your story. Let's support each other. Because we're not alone. There are so many of us who've loved people who didn't love us back the way we deserved. Hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more stories like mine. Real stories from real people who refused to accept less than they deserved. And remember, your worth is not determined by how much money you have, what you can provide, or whether you fit someone's aesthetic. Your worth is inherent. You are valuable simply because you exist. Don't let anyone make you forget that. I almost did. But I remembered just in time. And so can you.